Hi everybody, today we're going to be looking at dividing fractions by fractions. Now this is a fairly simple process, but what's really important about this is that you understand the concept of multiplying fractions. So let's look at the part. So to multiply a fraction, it's fairly simple. We multiply the denominator by the denominator, that's the bottom number by the bottom number, and the numerator by the numerator, that's the top number by the top number. So the denominator by the denominator and the numerator by the numerator. So in the first example here, we've got 3/10 multiplied by 5/2. Now before we go any further, it's really important to just look at 5/2. That's an odd looking fraction. And I want you to have a think for a second, and pause it if you need to, about what type of fraction that is. Now, some of you might say it's top heavy, but that's not the answer. What I'm looking for is the mathematical terminology for what type of fraction that is. So have a quick think, pause it, and then come back. So if you said an improper fraction, that would be the right answer. An improper fraction is where the numerator is larger than the denominator. So in this case, 5/2, 5 is larger than the denominator, 2. So that would be called an improper fraction. And that means that that fraction has a value of more than 1 whole. Okay, because 1 whole would be 2/2. So 5/2 is more than 1 whole. But let's get back to multiplying fractions. So I said previously that we multiply the denominator by the denominator and the numerator by the numerator, which is absolutely right. So we're going to do that. We're going to multiply 10 by 2, which is 20, and then multiply 3 by 5, which is 15. So the answer to the first one would be 15/20. Now we could simplify that a lot and we could get it down to 3/4, but actually 15/20 would still be the right answer. What I'd like you to do now, using the bottom by bottom and top by top, or denominator by denominator and numerator by numerator, I want you to complete the following 5 questions. Obviously that's going to take a little bit of time, so what I want you to do is pause it and then come back to it when you've completed them. And here are the answers. Make sure you check them against yours, and if you've got something different, double check, because it might be that you've just simply done it far too quickly. Okay, now if you've got them right, brilliant, but we're going to move on. Let's look at this calculation. 3/4 divided by 2/5. Now if you've been in any of my classes before, I talk about it being a chicken shop. Okay, a chicken shop. Now, for the purposes of any copyright whatsoever, this is not a chicken shop that is in existence. This is just a chicken shop where I can remember what I'm supposed to do with dividing fractions. So in this case, we have our KCF, our chicken shop. And K stands for keep it. So the first fraction I'm going to keep. The next one stands for change it. So I'm going to do something with that operation. I'm going to change it. And the last one is flip it. So I'm going to flip this fraction. So what does that look like in reality? Well, actually, it means I'm going to keep my 3/4. I'm going to look at my division and I'm going to change it to the multiplication operation. And then the last one, I've got my 2/5 and I'm going to flip it. So I'm going to make the denominator the numerator and the numerator the denominator. So 2/5 flipped would become 5/2. Now once I've done that, this is just a simple multiplication of fractions. So I'm going to do 4 times 2, the bottom by the bottom, which gives me 8. And then I'm going to do the top by the top, which gives me 15. That then gives me an improper fraction, which tells me that this fraction, this answer, is more than 1. So to find that answer, I'm going to see how many times 8 goes into 15. Well, 8 goes into 15 once, but if I add another 8, that makes 16, which is more than my numerator. So I know it goes in 1 time, and it leaves me 7 left over. So my 7 left over becomes my numerator, and the denominator stays as 8. So that means it is 1 and 7/8. Let's look at another example. So this time I have 4/7 divided by 1/3. Well, I'm going to use the same acronym as before. I'm going to keep, change, and flip. Okay, keep it, change it, flip it. That means I'm going to keep my 4/7. I'm going to look at the operation, and I'm going to change my division to a multiplication. And I'm going to look at my last fraction, which is 1/3, and I'm going to flip it to 3/1. When I've done that, as you already know, this is a very simple calculation because I multiply the bottom by the bottom, or the denominator by the denominator, and that gives me 7. And then I multiply the numerator by the numerator, or the top by the top, which gives me 12. Again, you can see that 12/7 is definitely more than 1 because it's an improper fraction. It means that we have to find out how many times 7 goes into 12 and what's left over after that. So 7 goes into 12 once, and then the difference is 5. So I've got 7 and then I count on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which gives me 5 left over. And I put my 5 over the original denominator. Well, the original denominator is 7. So my answer is 1 and 5/7. So just to recap, the important thing to remember is we keep it, we change it to a multiplication, and we flip it. The bit that most children struggle with at this point is they forget to flip the last calculation. The last fraction. So it's important that you flip the last fraction. Once you've done that, everyone is able to multiply the bottom by bottom and the top by top. So we are going to keep first fraction the same, change the operation to a multiplication, flip the last fraction so the denominator is on the top and the numerator is on the bottom, and then we're going to complete the calculation. What I'd like you to do right now is look at these different chilies. And I want you to choose 2 columns. So you can choose the blue and the yellow column, the yellow and the green column, or you can choose the blue and the green column. And I'd like you to complete them and post your answers in the comments section below. Once you've done that, you can rewind the video, you can check your answers, you can do whatever you would like to do, but you can also contact me via Dojo if you're not sure how to do this. Moving on from that, there are 2 problem questions for you to solve, which are much more difficult and is really, really good for you to have a go at, because in your tests and SATs papers, you might get questions which are similar to this. That's it for today. Have a go, pause, rewind, and double check to ensure that you've got the right method, and post any comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more and more videos at a later date.